Yep.
Smelly.
Callie just says goodbye.
Last night, the one girl over there, she was literally crying.
It's
like cutting onions. That's how I feel right now.
Over to look at the membranes. There's 3 membranes or meninges on your brain. The one that's right on the brain tissue is the pia mater, and that holds all those gyri and sulci, all those convolutions, holds them all together. Okay, that's the pia mater. On top of that is a membrane that we can never see. It's the arachnoid matter. It's like a spider web. And then finally, the thickest one, the one that's right up against the skull, is this. It's really thick. That's the dura. Yep, that's the dura mater. Holds it up onto the skull.
Tough mother.
It is a tough mother. It's like literally, you can't even poke a hole in it.
Yeah.
Okay, so those are the meninges. Okay, so we look at our brain. So here's the front of our, turn that up. Here's the front of our brain. Here's the back, right? Here's the spinal cord. So this is the cerebrum, all your higher thought processes, right? This is the cerebellum, all that muscle coordination stuff back here. Longitudinal fissure, transverse fissure. Okay? If we turn this over, again, here's your spinal cord. The enlargement right above the spinal cord, this area right here, is the medulla oblongata, all your involuntary reflexes. Above that, right here is the pons, and that leads to these 2 white columns on either side. These are the cerebral peduncles.
It's a fun word.
Yep. This little U-shaped piece of tissue right here is called the mammary. Looks like a little booby. It's a mammary body. And then that's the central canal. Okay. If we turn this over and we pull this down a little bit, now you can see the little butt right there. See the little butt cheeks? Looks like a little bum.
Yeah.
Okay. The big butt cheeks are the superior colliculi. The bumps underneath are the inferior colliculi. And then if you look in there, you see the little BB sitting right in the butt crack, deep in there. See that?
Oh, yeah, above it?
Yep. That's the pineal gland. Way deep in there. Okay? It's a pineal gland. Okay. So now let's look at some cranial nerves. Okay. These are hard to find in some of these brains, but right here, what's been cut off right here and right here, these are the olfactory lobes. And that's where all those little olfactory nerves come in, right? From the foramina, remember? Mm-hmm. And they make these big olfactory tracts coming down into the brain. Below that, you have these big nerves right here. These are the optic tracts. All of those optic nerves from the eyeballs coming in. And the right one crosses and goes to the left side of the brain. The left one crosses, goes to the right side of the brain. Where they cross over one another is the optic chiasma. Okay? And then you have this thing, the infundibulum, or the pituitary. This little cap here, this holds the pituitary up under the brain. That's been pulled off in these brains so we can see the cranial nerves under it. I'm not going to pull it off this one, but if they have this in a dish, you can say pituitary, you can say, infundibulum, hypophysis, whatever you want. Call it anything, okay? Either any of those is fine. Now we'll look at this brain to see the rest of the nerves, unless yours are better. Oh, look at you. You've got some on here too, right? Here's your olfactory bulbs. You can see your tracks coming down here. Here's your optic. And you still have the infundibulum attached here, right? And this is all the dura, all this stuff. Okay? All right. So once you pull that infundibulum off, you rip off the optic nerves, which you can see have been ripped off here.
Yep.
But here's the chiasma, right, where they would cross over. Coming down a little bit now on the peduncles, you have these 2 nerves right here. These are the ocular motor, right on top of the peduncles.
Yep.
Okay? Off on the side is where you find the trochlear nerves. There should be 2 of them, one on the other side, but it's gone. Okay, trochlear nerves. Yep. Right on top of the pons, these are getting a little questionable in this brain, but these 2 little things sticking up right here,
Adducens?
those are the adducens, right on top of the pons.
I don't know why I remember those.
This big one right here, that's the trigeminal, the largest of the cranial nerves. 3 big nerve trunks come out there, hence the name trigeminal.
Yeah.
Okay? And then down here would be the spinal accessory nerves. Okay? So it's olfactory, the olfactory tract's coming in, the optic tract's coming in, ocular motor, trochlear off to the side, adducens up here, trigeminal, and spinal accessory.
Okay.
Okay?
It's not bad.
All right. Now, if I took a sagittal section, so I'm going to cut right down that longitudinal fissure so we can look inside. Again, here's the front, here's your spine, here's all the convolutions. So this is the cerebrum. This is the inside of the cerebellum. That's the arborvitae, or the tree of life. Right? This thing that looks like a rubber band right here, this is the corpus callosum. It is a thick band of nerve fibers that runs left and right between the two hemispheres. The front of it is called the genu, the back of it is called the splenium, and the floor down here is called the fornix. And that encompasses that open space. An open space in the brain is a ventricle. This is the largest of the ventricles. This is the lateral ventricle. And what you can clearly see in here is that reddish, grayish gook in there. See that?
Mm-hmm.
That's choroid plexus. That's what produces the cerebrospinal fluid.
Oh.
Okay? So it's going to fill up the ventricle, and then it's going to spill into this ventricle, which is the third ventricle, right underneath that fornix. And then it's going to travel along this little aqueduct right down here and around the butt cheek and right underneath the cerebellum, where there's an indent, which is a little hard to see, but that's the fourth ventricle. And that would fill up, and then it would run down the spinal cord.
Cool.
Okay, so lateral, third, the aqueduct, fourth ventricle. Okay, this little round ball right here is the thalamus. Below it is the hypothalamus. And then this is where the pituitary would be, right, with that infundibulum stuck on there. Okay? And then again, if we pull this down like we did with the whole brain, we got half a butt now. So here's the superior, the big butt cheek, the superior collicula,
Inferior.
the inferior, and then this is half of that pineal gland. This is a little different view, just so you know what you're looking at. Okay? Then what we're going to do is we're going to cut the brain like this. I'm going to cut off the front of it so we can look at that. So here we are. Okay? So what we're looking at right here is just the tips of the lateral ventricles, right? The front ends of the lateral ventricles. This is ventricle 1, ventricle 2, or right and left lateral ventricles, whatever. And they are separated by the structure in the middle. This is called the septum pellucidum, and that keeps them separate. Okay? And below that is that opening. That's the third ventricle, right below the lateral ventricles. And then the fourth ventricle will be way back here underneath the cerebellum. Okay? And then if we, in fact, look at a brain stem, so here we are. They've pulled off the cerebrum. They've pulled off the cerebellum, and we're left with the brain stem. So here's your butt, right? Your superior and inferior collicula. There's your little pineal gland. And right here, this is where the cerebellum would be seated. And right there is the fourth ventricle. Now you can see that, that indentation, right? Underneath the cerebellum, that's the fourth ventricle, and then it would run down the spinal cord. Okay, if we look at the back side, again, here's your spinal cord, here's your medulla oblongata, here's your pons, here's your peduncles coming up on the side. Okay? Okay. And then we need to look at this thing. This is the spinal cord model. So what we've done is we've cut the spinal cord and we're looking down into it. Okay? So you need to know front and back. So you look for these big enlargements here. These are called ganglion. These are the dorsal root ganglion. So this is the back side. Okay? And this would be the anterior side. The butterfly is the gray matter. Everything else is the white matter. So these would be the dorsal horns of the gray matter. These would be the ventral horns of the gray matter. The thing in the middle is called the commissure. And then right in the middle, you see a little hole. That's the central canal. This would be the ventral fissure. This would be the dorsal sulcus. Right? The crack in the front and the dent in the back. There we go.
That's it?
That's it.